My name is Jonah Lackey. I've been a journalist for a little over 2 years now, and I have a love of in-person, on-the-ground reporting. Over the course of the next few days, I'll be touring Liberty myself, interviewing students and staff members, and showing you guys what's actually going on here at Liberty. Are the reports true? Is the school throwing caution to the wind and putting its students, faculty, and the greater Lynchburg area at a severe risk?
Overall, I think people are not contained on Liberty.
Or is it all just fear-mongering? And is the school actually taking all necessary precautions to keep everyone safe and healthy?
They definitely, they're following, like I said, all the guidelines by the government.
I intend to find out. Hey everybody, today is going to be a little different than yesterday's video because I reached out to two of the RAs here on campus and one of them agreed to sit down with me via Skype and be interviewed, but the other one preferred to remain anonymous. So they sent me their responses via email. And I'm not going to reveal their name or their gender or even where they are on campus. I'm going to respect their privacy and keep them 100% anonymous, because they felt that they would be able to be more honest with their responses were they anonymous. So that was kind of their reasoning behind it. But I do think that they had some very interesting responses here. So I asked both RAs the same set of questions. So I'm going to go ahead and read the question and then read this RA's responses to them. So, like the two students that I interviewed, a lot of these questions are going to be the same. However, there are some RA-specific questions in here. But like the students, the first thing I asked was, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel okay. I think every 2 seconds I'm like, oh my gosh, do I have it? Like, I'm like hungry. I haven't eaten in a long time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, do I have the coronavirus? And I'm like, no, I just need to like get lunch. So, but yeah, I feel good so far. I feel good. I feel pretty normal.
I'm feeling fine. Obviously, my plans for the next few months have been heavily altered, but that seems to be the case with everyone. My family has been fortunate enough to not have any of their careers be affected by the virus, which is a huge blessing. I am not particularly worried about catching the virus since I have been taking precautions. However, I worry a lot for my sister and my dad, who both are high risk. So the first thing I want to ask is a little different than what I've asked from other people's, because I think you have a kind of unique situation as compared to the other people I talked to, which is you were actually planning on staying home for a while and then coming back at a later date, but you actually decided to come back this past weekend. Do you want to kind of explain why you were going to stay home and then ultimately why you had to come back early?
Yeah, so I had to come back last Sunday at the end of spring break because I'm an RA, and we were required to come back until Wednesday. And then, so after that, I went home, and my kind of mindset was like, I'll go home and like see what happens, and then I'll come back. Because I kind of thought like, I'll go home and like, if it's fine and things are starting to clear up, I'll come back and it'll be okay. But then I got an email. Fortunately, I'm an RA, so I got an email before anyone else did, I think, saying that those who were coming back after Sunday, March 29th, so after yesterday, are just automatically getting quarantined for 14 days at the annex. And so basically my resident director was like, you either have to come back on Sunday or not really come back at all. I decided to come back, and here I am.
Next, I asked very briefly, how do you feel about the COVID virus situation and the school's responses to it?
So like overall, as just me, a human being, it's a scary thing. Like, we've never seen anything like this. And like 2.5 weeks ago, none of us really thought that this was like a huge deal. Mm-hmm. So I definitely am afraid. I feel like half of people say that it's like super like dangerous and like it will kill you, and the other half of people are like, oh, it's just a cold, you're fine. So there's people say different things. People say that there's been a cure, people say there hasn't been a cure. Like, it's all across the board. So I think I'm definitely fearful for sure. I'm fearful being here on campus for sure. As far as what Liberty has done, at first, when all of this started happening, I was just praying that Liberty wouldn't close because it's my senior year and I wanted to come back and like all my friends, and I was just so sad. But now I honestly kind of wish that Liberty had closed because it just would have made my decision so much easier. It's like now I'm like torn between like what's left of my senior year and like what decision should I make. Like I almost wish that Liberty had just made the decision for me, but obviously I respect the decision that was made.
I think we are taking some good precautions towards combating the virus. Obviously, this will take a pretty big hit on the economy and normal life as we know it. It's a lose-lose situation. No matter how much or how little we react, there will be consequences. And they added, welcome to living in a fallen world. To your knowledge, what are some of the steps that Liberty is taking to keep its students and staff safe and healthy? And then I also asked, do you think they're doing enough or should they be doing more?
I know they've taken a lot of precautions, like in the library. There's like, you can only sit at certain tables, and there's people that are like telling you like you can't sit together and things like that. There's like security, which is nice. And then at the ROT, our dining hall, obviously, you can only go in, only 10 people can go in at a time, and you take your food to go. So that is a nice precaution as well. Other things, there's signs like, so I live in Commons too, and so there's like signs around that are like you can only have 10 people in a common area at a time, which is nice. I don't really think that people are following that. But at least the signs are there. It's kind of everyone is at their own risk at this point. But yeah, I mean, that's really all. It's just, I don't know. I haven't really seen like there is stuff happening, but it's like, it's not like there's like people everywhere that are like mandating like 6 feet apart, social distancing really. So that's been interesting. I think that, so now with the quarantining that's happening, and they're like sending people to the annex for 14 days. I mean, I think that's great. Like, I think that's really good. But to be so honest, I just feel like Liberty should have just closed. Like, I mean, the safest place that anyone can be is at home. And there is like extenuating circumstances where like, you know, international students that can't go home and things like that. And that's like completely understandable why they should be on campus. But honestly, like people like me, I really should be at home. Like, I really probably shouldn't be here. So, yeah, it's hard. I'm like contradicting myself by being here, but I don't really know if there's anything more that Liberty can do. It's not like they can just like babysit us. I think the best thing that they could do at this point is just tell people to go home.
Here's my opinion on Liberty's response to the virus, i.e. keeping the campus open. Do I think we should have kept campus open for any student to return? No. I think there should have been some form of screening to determine who wanted to stay on campus for legitimate reasons, i.e. international students, nowhere else to go, families high risk, etc. And I find this very interesting because the other RA from Commons 2 I interviewed said the exact same thing. And then also Carrie Julian, who I interviewed yesterday, I asked her about this and she thought that this would be a very good idea as well. So I think that's very interesting that this person said that. And that's something I've been hearing a lot. And I think that would have been a really good idea because it would have allowed students who wanted to return to do so, but also would have had some extra security measures in place. And then the RA goes on to say, I had a number of students return simply because they wanted to hang out. However, and this is where it gets important in my opinion, do I think that Liberty has created a safe campus environment and done a great job enforcing government stipulations? Absolutely. This is the real question here. This is why I'm here and why I'm doing this sort of video series, is because so much of the reporting has been very negative towards Liberty University. So I wanted to come here and go myself. And this RA is saying that absolutely they are creating a safe environment. To begin with, Liberty encouraged the students, including RAs, to strongly consider staying home and not returning to campus, which is true. The very first email that they sent out and the first official statement from President Jerry Falwell Jr. said that they encouraged students who could to stay home at all costs, saying, if at all possible, please, please, please stay home. So, and that goes back to what I said yesterday, which is I think there should be more blame being put on the students, not the university. Because I think the university made it very clear that students should only return if they have to. And I think a lot of students just return for casual reasons. And I think that's more on the students than it is on the university. Sure, the university allowed that, but I think we're doing a lot of blame shifting to the university and not to the students. And I think that's the big issue here. I think the big question is how much blame should be put on the school and how much blame should be put on the students. And I think you can make a valid argument in either direction. Even then, from what I understand, only around 1,200 students returned to campus, about 8% of the total. And many of them had legit reasons to return. And that's what I think is key. I've seen several reports from big news sources saying several thousand students returned, saying most students returned, saying a lot of students returned, and sparking concerns that, wow, there's a lot of students still on campus. And I can tell you that is completely 100% false. This place is a freaking ghost town. And I want to make that very, very clear. Next, I asked, how has the school been regarding passing along information? Again, same questions I asked the students yesterday.
I feel well informed, but I'm an RA, so it's like with the quarantining and things like that, it was my responsibility to tell the girls in my hall this is what's happening. So it's like if a student feels misinformed, I honestly might blame it on their RA a little bit. Because as RAs, we're receiving so much information that we're supposed to pass on. And I can see how an RA would be like, well, I'm at home and like, whatever, and just kind of not do it or like forget to do it or not think it was that big of a deal. So as far as things like that go, like things from like Res Life go, I feel very informed. And I hope the girls in my hall feel informed as well. But for things like testing on campus and like has a student tested positive really, like, who knows? I don't know. Like, I almost wish there was, like, some kind of, like, daily census where it's like, okay, like, 2 students are positive now, or, like, no students on campus. Like, we have no idea about that. And that's kind of scary to me.
I feel that when it comes to the RAs, Liberty has responded well to the virus. They made the process of checking people out streamlined and easy for both the students and the RAs. If students were unable to return, the Office of Residence Life worked well with them. After the students who wanted to leave had left, the RAs just had to do some more paperwork, figuring out exactly when the remaining students planned on leaving, etc. As an RA, I am thankful that Liberty allowed the checkout process to be easy and very safe for the RAs. I want to be able to return home to my family knowing I did not have to have myself potentially exposed. Next question I asked, I went through Liberty's official statement and read the part where it says, Liberty University has been and will continue to be in compliance with all of Virginia Governor Ralph Northam's directives, as well as all applicable federal guidance. How have you seen this being carried out on campus?
I think, I mean, I guess I would say I think that they should do more. I hate to say that, I do hate to say that I feel like they should send students home, but I really feel like they should. Like knowing that I'm like basically a hypocrite because I'm here, but like I even today like bought boxes and I'm like starting to pack my stuff up because I'm just like over it. But I think Liberty is doing everything that the governor has like said Liberty should do. I mean, there's X's places, so you stay 6 feet apart while you're waiting in line for food. Seating areas are roped off, like with caution tape, like you can't sit like you normally could. Things are much more restricted here than they ever were. And that's really good. But at the same time, it's like they're putting up the tape and they're doing that. But I mean, like if a student wants to go over the tape and sit there, I don't really think anyone would stop them from doing it. I don't think any students are doing that, but it's kind of like up to the students at this point. Like, Liberty's kind of done, like, what the governor has deemed necessary. Liberty has definitely carried that out. But, like, the rest is kind of in the students' hands. I think, like, the only thing that Liberty really could do at this point is just be like, you guys need to go home. Because even, like, the, whatever the governor just ordered, the stay-at-home order that he mandated, even that, it's like, how could Liberty possibly regulate that? You know, like, Liberty could never make sure that every single student on campus is only in their room or going to get food. Like, there's just no way.
Hmm.
So I just think it's just tough. It's like they're in between a rock and a hard place now.
I did not leave my dorm while I was on campus, but from what I understand, Liberty has been very proactive in ensuring the students' safety. I have heard of loopty officers ensuring that there are no more than 10 people attempting to get food at a time from any given dining location. And that is true. I've been to 4 different locations here on campus, and all 4 of them had a police officer stationed outside, making sure that students weren't standing too close together inside and making sure that there were only 10 at max. I know that many of the seats are blocked off in the public areas of campus to make sure that people are not seated too closely together. The computer labs only have every 3rd computer operational to allow people to remain spaced. I have also read that Liberty has passed surprise state inspections. It seems that campus is running well and adhering to state mandates. Next, I wanted to get into the letter by Dr. Mary Beth Davis Baggett, and I asked this person, have you read it, and what is your response to it?
I skimmed it, yes. I haven't read it word for word. It was long, but I did skim it. I mean, freedom of speech, like, she had every right to say everything that she said, everything that I read that she said, and I understand where she was coming from. I mean, this place of, like, desperation, like, someone please help us. I think she has every right to think what she thought and to say what she said. Was it super respectful? Not at times. I have trouble fighting for that kind of behavior, so I don't really expect. That being said, though, I was always raised to respect my authority, and so I guess in this situation, like, he was her authority, but I don't really. She never really attacked him as much as she was just, like, asking for help. I think like she had a good point. Like, I think she saw it coming, and I think a lot of us kind of saw it coming. It, like, hit a point where we were like, we really need to not be here now.
It kind of came to a point where it's like we all kind of saw it coming, but we were all at the same time hoping that it wouldn't.
Yeah, and it's like Jerry Falwell Jr. is in this horrible position where he has to make one decision for thousands of people, and that's terrifying in and of itself. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I love the decision he made, and I think that she was right in saying, like, we need someone else to step in, because it's just blown up now.
I have read Dr. Baggett's letter. Again, I myself did not think that the campus should have remained open to simply anyone who wanted to return. However, I believe this letter was written before some more of the university's decisions were finalized. Professors are not required to teach classes from their office. Mine have been teaching their classes from home and plan to meet with any students during their office hours digitally. Finally, I read the part of Dr. Baggett's letter where she said, Liberty is not a bubble where the virus will be contained. Instead, its population comes into regular contact with those in the Lynchburg community, putting their health and lives at risk as well. What is your response to that?
I think she's right. I really do. I think that Liberty could be a bubble if they decided that. I mean, there's like 7 ways off campus or something like that, maybe more. And it's like they're absolutely capable of, like, blocking those off and not letting people leave, which I think would be, like, wild. But, like, we could survive, you know? Like students don't need to leave, but students still are leaving, you know? I just went to Lowe's like 25 minutes ago. So it's like, I definitely think that we come into contact with the people of Lynchburg. And while I think some people in Lynchburg have kind of taken this a little bit out of proportion, I also think it's fair to say all these students were just traveling for spring break and now they're coming back. And that's kind of scary, even if it is like a fraction of what was. And I think, again, back to the we're over 18, we're adults, it's like kind of not. Like, if you're not ready to pay your own phone bill and live on your own, like, I don't know if I would trust you to make super wise decisions as far as, like, considering other people's lives. So as far as that goes, yeah, it's like when I go out, I'm like Clorox wiping everything because I'm terrified, but I don't think other people are doing the same. I don't know.
It's one of those things where those are some extreme steps you're taking, but can you really expect everybody to be taking those same steps? And I don't think that you can. I don't think you can even just getting rid of the liberty issue itself, just in a broader sense, back where we're in Northern Virginia, you know? I don't trust most of the people in Northern Virginia to be doing that.
Yeah,
And so I think it's not just a liberty-specific problem, and I think that's one thing that kind of the reporting around this issue has been really unfair with, where this isn't a liberty-specific issue. This is an issue, you can take everything negative they're saying about liberty and make the same points everywhere else, saying students are going out and infecting the greater community, where they're going to be doing that back at home as well. So I think there are definitely some valid criticism out there, but I do think it's unfair to kind of single liberty out and say, as if it's not issues everywhere.
Right. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And I think, like, I don't know. I mean, it's just really, it's tough. I think at this point, it's like liberty has made the decisions it's made. And so it's like, what are we going to do about it now? You know, like wishing that a different decision had been made isn't really going to help us at this point.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I understand the concern that if the virus came to Liberty, that it would not just remain on campus and spread to the Lynchburg community. But as of where we stand right now, I think if we keep campus closed from the public and keep ensuring we maintain government regulations, then we cannot worry about the students being here any more than if they were back home engaging in the same practices. However, if a student on campus is diagnosed with a virus, then Liberty will most certainly have to reevaluate its strategy. After sitting down with the RAs, I feel I'm starting to notice a definite pattern emerging. Despite concerns that Liberty should have closed its doors, they couldn't deny that the school is taking extensive measures to keep students safe and follow all government guidelines. I've also started to realize how misleading much of the reports have been. The way some of the headlines and articles are worded make it sound like the school is flooded with returning students. However, I found the opposite to be true. This really hit me yesterday when the fire alarm in my building went off and everyone had to evacuate. As it turned out, there were only 6 people in my building instead of the regular 100, and I found this to be true all over campus. Walking around main campus feels like walking through a disaster zone. Most places are closed, there's caution tape everywhere, and there's hardly a person in sight. Finally, both RAs raised the question of how much blame should be put on the school and how much blame falls on the students. No students were forced to come back. Everyone who's here chose to return, and we can leave anytime we please. I think that people aren't putting enough of the responsibility on the students. Having the students here on campus is no safer or more dangerous than having them going home, especially if they live in high-risk areas like New York, Washington State. I would say that having them here is safer than sending them back home. I think it's good that people are criticizing the school's decisions. I think we should always be criticizing the decisions that our leaders are making to make sure that they're the best decisions for us. However, that being said, I think people are putting way too much of the responsibility on the school and not enough on the students, because the students here are all adults. And sure, some of them are as young as 18, and 18-year-olds do not have the same decision-making capacity as someone who's 22 or 23. But, in my opinion, if they're old enough to vote and go to war, they should be old enough to make their own decisions regarding their own health and safety. I think it's an interesting question to consider going forward. Before I said goodbye, I asked Abby if she had anything she wanted to say to the higher-ups.
I think that I would just like to, I don't know. I mean, thank them for what they're doing, especially like Pastor Nasser, who's just lost his brother, like, and still cares so deeply about the students. I'm praying for us and keeping us updated on information on what's happening, like via his Instagram, and like, I mean, that means so much, and I know that must not be easy for him at all. I guess I would just encourage them to keep thinking of the students. If they haven't been thinking of the students, to just keep to think of them, and if they have been, just to keep thinking of them, because like I'm responsible for my own life, but they're responsible for everyone. And so it's like, as like my decisions and what I do are kind of up to me at this point, because Liberty has given me that choice. And so I think like, because the higher ups have given us this choice, like they need to like own up to that and steward that well, and like do the best they can. At this point, it's like, and I think that they are in a lot of ways, but I would just continue to encourage them to do so. And honestly, if anyone if anyone higher up sees this, I just would tell them to keep reading their Bible and like just stay close to the Lord. Not that they're not, but that really is the only thing that is going to get us through this pandemic.
Yeah.
So that's what I guess I would say to them.
And with that, I finished my investigation and am now ready to give you guys my final report.